for less air resistance. So she's turning away from him, and there's no corner to catch him. So even if the car touched him, and he likely touched the car. He likely leaned over the hood to brace himself as he took a shot at his first shot at her. Um, but I don't think there was no corner to the car to catch his legs, which were a foot or 18 inches away. So there you go.
And the other thing that I've heard is that she was a member of the community patrol. I know there are community patrols even here that have kind of ways that they will try to disrupt ICE agents and everything like that. So that's something that I know a lot of people are
Oh, okay,
talking
yeah,
about.
okay. So, but let's talk about the disruption, because the people who say the shooting was good say that she was out there disrupting. She and her wife were disrupting things all day, except that she was dead by 9:37 in the morning, which isn't all day.
Yeah. That's
So, all right.
definitely not all day and everything like that, but it's definitely been talked about these attempts to disrupt the ICE raids and everything like that. I know there have even been uh, warning signals that people are supposed to give, whether it's a certain amount of whistles or other things when they see ICE
Yeah,
in the neighborhood.
none of that deserves the death penalty.
Agreed. Agreed. None of that deserves the death penalty, whether you agree with the ICE raids or don't agree with the ICE raids. It looks like Mayor Mamdani is moving on up to Gracie Mansion, so he's getting into his office. So Zehran Mamdani and New York City's First Lady Rama Dawaji officially moved into Gracie Mansion. They did that yesterday, and definitely we'll see how they do as they left behind their one-bedroom apartment and everything like that. So he's moving into a bigger house, and apparently he's also having some people are still paying attention to what he's doing there in New York City and all along those lines. Hey, have you ever had any and this is for you as well, Dr. Sharif, any animals loose? Because apparently several monkeys are loose in St. Louis, and authorities have no clue how they got there. So apparently monkeys are on the loose in St. Louis, city officials say, and everything like that. So they're running the streets of St. Louis, and fake images, we talked about AI and everything, are complicating efforts to find them. So I guess people are putting up AI images of where they might be and everything like that. And apparently there's also a goat on the run as well. But definitely maybe they escaped from a zoo, maybe they escaped from something else. But I just wanted, in any of your world travels, have you ever had to deal with rampant animals that were on the loose?
No, but there's a place called Rabbit Island that I would like to visit. It's covered with thousands of bunnies, and you go there and you grab a bag of whatever bunnies like, and you lie down on the ground, and you can get yourself covered with bunnies.
So the bunnies will come to you and get fed and everything like that. Because I know that we're having a crisis with a cat sanctuary. It's been a cat sanctuary here that it was in business for several decades and everything like that. It's called the Goat House and everything like that. But now they're facing accusations of having not kept up care for the animals and other things going on. And the founder had actually had some health issues herself.
Yeah,
So now they're trying to figure
if
out what
we're
to do
running a
with the many cats that might have to be released, because I think that they suspended their license and everything, but they're trying to get their license fixed.
we had a place called Wildlife Way Station where people in California will sometimes buy exotic pets like a tiger or a panther, and then they can't take care of it, and then it ended up at the Wildlife Way Station. And yeah, that taking care of exotic animals and a ton of animals is expensive. And if you as you get older, it's sometimes, if you're a cat hoarder, well, cats give you toxoplasmosis, which is a parasitic disease that is correlated with schizophrenia. So if you care for a lot of cats, it increases the chance that you get the disease and you go crazy and you become a crazy cat lady. And at that point, you might have a house filled with 30, 50, 70 cats, and you can't take care of them. And eventually somebody calls because the smell of cat poop coming from your house is, huge. And they come and investigate and find out you're in terrible situation.
Yep. Yeah, you get to
So,
Dr. Sharif because he's got an amazing conference coming up and everything like that. But
okay.
just a real quick
Yeah.
question before I get to Dr. Sharif and all on those lines. But apparently, a former congressional staffer from Glen Burnie has been accused of stealing 240 government phones. So I guess he was maybe trying to put them on the black market or something like that. So who knows what he was going to do with those phones? But apparently he allegedly stole 240 cell phones from the government. So that's being investigated. And I'm thinking maybe he's going to put them on the black market. I don't know what kind of phones they get in government and everything like that. But it'll be interesting to see what goes on in that space and if they bust him for black market phone delivery or something along those lines. But it'll be interesting. Dr. Sharif, you got this amazing conference. I've been getting your emails and everything like that. I know it's taking place very shortly. So tell us about the conference and how me and Rick can be involved. It looks like you have Nick and Kim as speakers and everything like that. So tell us about this conference because it looks like it has both a virtual and a in-person element.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, when you discuss about this conference, we have some different agenda for our conference. First thing first, with Paris Graduate School, we go for a research paper and research and innovation. So we have our publishers called Innovative Academic Research Publishers in Paris. I'm a chief editor for them, and I add Nick, you, and Kimberly's and everyone, because you can find from emerging economy, from some high quality universities, some policymakers, business organization, they are publishing their research paper with us. And beside that, as we are engaging with community, especially urban planning, that's why Climate Initiative, definitely we are working with California Institute of Management, St. Edward University, USA, and Japan UN University. So we are helping this community to develop this urban plan. So for that issues, this climate initiative is very important. And we are designing this Himalaya, this Ganga, this Podda and Bay of Bengal. So as it is very much engaged with human lives, as these things are very much important for human improvement, and it's around 600 million people in these communities. They want to build up a new environment. They want to develop their port, their bridge, their housing, hospitals, all of the important elements. And nature is very important for them. And if you see these global warming issues in this region, even this last 1,000 years of histories, this Himalaya actually playing a major role of these communities. So definitely the North American community, especially this Stanford universities and NASA, they are expert working in my ecosystem, and we are working together. So our conference in 31st January, we do focus on climate, we do focus on urban planning. So I want to invite you all in this program, and it will be life-changing. If you have your expertise, you can join in this ecosystem. If you want to invest, you can join in this ecosystem. If you want to be only professional and you want to help these communities, you can join in these things. So that is the way. We do not need more like hate each others, like creating all of the embargo. We have to believe this is one world, one village. We can work as a community. So we are building communities. Community always valuable, and I'm getting a very good response in person and definitely online. I want to give very special thanks to Pot TV and all of the my colleagues. But again, humanity is very important. Human talent is important. Let's work for the human progressions. And that is the way of improvement of life. Thank you.
No problem. Glad you were able to tell us about the conference and everything along those lines and everything in that space. Hey, Rick, I see that there is a candidate that has dropped out or said that they don't want to run, and all along those lines. So apparently, California Attorney General Rob Bonda has opted against running for governor. So I don't know what you can tell us about Rob Bonda and his what would have been a potential.
He's fine, but I'm sure he did some polling and found out his chances aren't great. California governor elections usually start with a pretty wide field, and it's that way now. Newsom has termed out, I believe, and so he can't run again. Plus, he's probably going to run for president. So yeah, we're going to have a zillion people running, though not the jungle election we had when Gray Davis was recalled and Schwarzenegger got elected. That was a crazy election with 40 candidates, and all it took was $1,000 and a petition with a few hundred names on it to get on the ballot. And I thought about doing it just to be an asshole, but my wife wouldn't let me. There was a porn star running. It was a pretty fun, ridiculous election. This election will be less fun, but you'll probably have at some point like 7 different people running.
Yep, I'm sure we'll have 7 different people running and everything like that. Before I continue with the serious news and everything like that, I see Jacoby's with me, and I think I'm going to start calling him Jacoby the Greek, as in Jimmy the Greek, because he said that the Houston-Pittsburgh game would not be much of a game. It was a game for the first half, but then after that, it became the slaughter that he predicted and everything like that. So,
and brutal for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Pittsburgh is a really nice city with good people. Aaron Rodgers is kind of a dick, so you can feel sorry for Pittsburgh, maybe less so for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I know that my cousin is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I haven't talked to him. I don't know how he's feeling about this loss and everything like that. So, Jacoby, good, congratulations. You picked the right winner, and it looks like you had the idea that it wasn't going to be a close game, unlike the other games.
The defense, Jacoby should talk about it more than me because he actually knows stuff, but the defense just smothered the Steelers, the Texans' defense. It was pretty brutal.
Okay.
I mean, the Texans have been rated the whole year as one of the top, if not the number one defense in the whole year. So I knew because Pittsburgh doesn't really have a running game. Pittsburgh really should not have been there. Honestly, it should have been Baltimore who should have been in there. And Baltimore would have been able to play Houston a little bit better, but it was still going to go about that way because the problem with Baltimore is that they would have come into the game with a lot of injuries on defense, and their secondary was extremely beat up. Their linebacker core was starting to become very beat up as well. So they would have had the same trouble on defense that Pittsburgh had. But then on top of that, it's just that Houston's defense is really good. Their front four, their front three really, but their front four really get after the quarterback. And because Pittsburgh doesn't have an offensive line that's actually great, and they don't have a running back that it can at least take away some of the pressure from the quarterback. Because if you don't, the biggest thing to help a quarterback is a running back. A good running back, because then it's a threat, which means that the defensive line can't pin their ears back and rush the quarterback directly and just attack him. And because Aaron Rodgers is a 42-year-old man, he's not as mobile as he used to be, and taking so many hits, he's starting to see ghosts. And that's what happened with Houston. I mean, they just dominated it from start to finish. They have cornerbacks that can run with, I mean, the wide receivers couldn't get any separation. The misdirection play was the best play that they had when they had it was a misdirection counter play with the running back that gave them 10 yards. Outside of that, didn't really do much on offense. So yeah,
their only scores were 2 field goals.
Right.
Yep. Aaron Rodgers had the worst playoff. Well, his QBR was the worst of his whole career in the playoffs. He didn't throw a touchdown, which is one of the worst career playoff games that he's ever had. He technically threw a touchdown. He threw a pick six. His last throw of it might be of his whole career, which is similar to Brett Favre, but he threw a pick six. So It's just Houston was a much better team and deserved to be there. Houston started out with a lot of injuries, but like Baltimore, they got things together. They were dominant. They were a healthier team. I think Nico Collins may have had a concussion during the game, but that was really their only major injury that hurt Houston, and that was just during the game. Everything else, no, Houston came in healthy. CJ Stroud is actually a good quarterback if you give him time. It's just,
So, are you
just
happy
really
with
quickly,
the
mentioned it and everything along those lines before we get back to the serious news and everything like that? But do you think Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers are done in terms of their career, or will they both be back next year? Because that was the thing that I heard people speculating about at the end of the game, as to whether both of them will be gone or whether they'll stay.
I think Mike Tomlin will end up leaving this week. He should. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers should not be there. Aaron Rodgers is not the answer. Aaron Rodgers should never have been there. But the problem was Mike Tomlin held off and fought for Aaron Rodgers. So Mike Tomlin will probably be gone this week, especially because of what happened to Jim Harbaugh. With Harbaugh not being there, that means that, it's okay to let go. So Harbaugh was the second longest tenured coach. Tomlin is the longest tenured active coach. So since Harbaugh's gone, Tomlin, my guess, is next. They're going to want to move on. This will bring Pittsburgh to their fourth coach ever in the history of that franchise. Baltimore, roughly about the same, but it's just, it's probably time to move on from Tomlin, and definitely do not bring back Aaron Rodgers. The other core pieces you can really dismantle. I would keep Metcalf because that's your only wide receiver. Bring in a slot receiver to open him up because Metcalf is just a wide receiver to open up the top of the defense, basically a speedster. So they need a slot receiver and a number 2 receiver. They also need, Freiermuth is a good tight end, but he got injured. But they need a running back. If they don't bring in a running back and an offensive line, I mean, they just need a lot more than just a quarterback, and they're not going to get Mendoza. Mendoza's the best quarterback in college right now, and he's going number 1. If not, he shouldn't go number 1. The Raiders pick number 1. The Raiders have a lot more problems than the quarterback, but they need to trade and then pick up some other pieces. But yeah, he'll be the first quarterback off the draft, and yeah, Pittsburgh's not getting Mendoza.
That sounds good. And that's some sports.
Sasha, there's a Supreme Court ruling coming out Friday about Trump's tariffs. So, Sasha, what do you think? The Poly Market is giving a 27% chance that the Supreme Court rules in favor of Trump, which means a 73% chance they don't.
So it's a little bit more complicated than that, because there are tariffs that were negotiated between U.S. and other countries. There are tariffs perhaps that could be treated as actually taxes on American people, and that is definitely not right if that's the case. So Supreme Court would have to come with a comprehensive decision and qualify what is what and how to deal with that, whether the illegal taxes which were collected have to be repaid, and when and how and to whom. It's kind of messy stuff. I don't see kind of black and white decision on that.
So you think it'll be mixed? It'll knock down some tariffs, and he'll call it a victory. They'll say that he doesn't have to return the tariff revenue.
I think Trump already has plans how to have the same tariffs, but under different pretext, not relying on Emergency Act and but doing something else instead. So he'll find a way how to deal with that. I'm pretty sure.
What will the stock market do? The Dow is at almost 50,000, is setting records.
With the Dow, the situation is, I was watching today, it was release of the prices, and it has a lot to do with inflation and so on. And remember, what we are getting today, a data for December. And from December to today, and never mind to February, there are a lot of things happening that are not reflected in this number. Therefore, they're quite misleading. Because if you see the commodities whether it's gold and silver and palladium and platinum and oil now, they're all moving higher and higher and higher. So there is no way. By the way, all the aluminium and the copper and everything is moving up, and there is no way that it's not going to be reflected sooner or later. So the inflation is already there. You can go and buy almost anything and see what you would pay a year ago for the thing and what you're paying now. There's no exception to that. So these numbers are backwards and they are deceptive. It's not really what's happening in the economy of U.S.
Speaking of that, and this is for both Rick and you, Sasha, and even Jacoby can jump in this as well. I don't know if we've ever had a president that has declared himself president of more than one country, because apparently he has posted in several posters that he is the acting president of Venezuela. So Trump is saying that he is the acting president, not just of the United States, but of Venezuela as well. So what is our take on this notion of a president being a president of more than one country and everything like that? Because he did post that recently. I think he did that like 2 days ago and everything like that. So what is our thoughts around this notion of having a president of two countries? And apparently Vance is in Greenland, so maybe he's going to declare himself president of Greenland as well. So maybe he's going to be president of 3 countries. But what is our thoughts around the president?
He's not even a president of one. Man is he doesn't care about what's going on here, nor does he care what's going on in Venezuela, nor does he care what's really going on in Greenland. The reason I say that is you have people being attacked, tested, and hit and harmed and everything, not only here in the U.S., but also in Venezuela, where he supposedly freed the Venezuelan people. But no, they're being attacked and killed. They've told what they set up the security. Rick, you can actually look it up. I think they've told all American citizens to leave Venezuela because it's now a threat level 4 or something that they're at. So this quote unquote president of Venezuela is now allowing for American citizens to be kidnapped and in Venezuela. That's what he's doing.
We have a guy in charge who doesn't really think about any second or third level effects. He just does whatever the fuck he wants to distract from Epstein. And, you know, it's not, I wouldn't say everything's a distraction from Epstein, but everything is a result of Trump not having any seasoned, competent advisors and just getting an idea and then doing it, and nobody to stop him. So, yeah, and it results in at least a certain amount of chaos. Maybe not as bad as the chaos, you know, when we took out Saddam Hussein, which eventually led to the deaths of maybe 1 million people in Iran. I mean, yeah, but you know.
Well, Rick, in terms of the chaos, we're not even a week into the whole Venezuela thing, and we're already having a threat level raised. We're already telling American citizens to get out and all the other things. Remember, in Iraq, we had a mission accomplished sign and everything else. And then what happened months and weeks later is when we found out that was a problem. That was not what we should have done. It's the same thing here in Venezuela. We're doing the same exact thing.
Okay, yeah, we are, but I'm hoping that 1 million people won't have to die because of it.
I hope that tomorrow, instead of us possibly getting snow, that, you know, we possibly get some candy that rains from the sky, or some money that pops up in the mailbox. We can hope for all we want, but we have historical precedent, and we have to live in the historical precedent. We can think about things that we want to do and plan and assess, but we have to be able to use history to tell us what has happened. If we do X, there was Sandra Bullock made a movie. It was about her being an alcoholic and overcoming alcoholism. It was a great movie. One of the things that they talked about, and honestly, I think they may use it in AA meetings, or some of them, some psychiatrists may use it as well. But it talked about, you know, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a common saying right now. Yeah, that's.
So when we
don't have
if we
but I'm just saying, I'm hoping that that.
Yeah, I think we all hope.
And I
But
know
again, if we're doing the same thing over and over,
saying hope in one hand and shit in your other hand, and see which hand gets full first.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. That's very much the case. And yeah, they say that that whole notion of repeating the same thing is the definition of insanity and everything like that. But it looks like, and I know it's one of Nick's favorite topics. He brings it up a lot in this area, and maybe he'll join this conversation. But I know, Rick, you talked about the fact that there are not that many trans athletes in the world, but apparently they're coming to the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court is hearing arguments over transgender athletes bans in West Virginia and Idaho, where they have banned transgender athletes. And I guess that this is now going to come before the Supreme Court, which we know is very much controlled by folks that are supporters of Trump.
Okay, so the governments of Idaho and West Virginia are, kind of some ultra Republican, ultra MAGA types. But in terms of the people impacted, how many trans athletes are actually competing in frickin' Idaho and West Virginia? How many people live in frickin', California has 40 million people, and we maybe have 3 competitive level trans high school athletes. Idaho, I don't think he has even 2 million people. West Virginia, same thing. So do they even have any competitive level trans athletes? Who frickin' knows? Now, there may be some crappy trans athletes. Whenever I went out for sports, I was like the worst kid on the team. There might be some, it's sad they don't get to participate. But in terms of it's all political posturing over a tiny number of freaking people.
that's what it is. It's just politics. You create a boogeyman, you get people to get scared of that boogeyman, and you drive that fear to votes and power. That's all this is. We don't have enough data to figure out what's going on with trans athletes. So the idea that they're causing an issue with anything is all BS and made up. If anybody tells you that we have definitive data saying that trans athletes are much more competitive and much more this and much more that, all they're doing is using a fear tactic, and then they don't even talk about.
I have a number for trans athletes for Idaho. There were no known instances of trans girls competing on female teams in Idaho. So this legislation stops exactly 0 athletes from.
Again, it's fear. You create fear in people. If you make people think there's a boogeyman coming or something like that, then it's easy to manipulate them and tell them, hey, look, I'm going to be your protector. I'm going to make sure. That's what Trump wrote in on. No Democrat ran any ad about trans rights. No Democrat got on stage and yelled out trans rights. None. But you know what one of the number one issues that people say they voted for Trump was to keep girls out of boys out of girls sports.
I just Googled the number for West Virginia. They're the only known transgender athlete is 15-year-old Becky Pepper Jackson. One athlete in 2 states is what this legislation's about.
Yeah. Again, it's fear. It's because this is so now those Republicans that are pushing that are going to say, they're going to say 2 things. Hey, we kept boys out of girls sports, and look, the Democrats are voting for boys to play in girls sports, even though there is no data to prove any of that. That's what that is. It's nothing but fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, A lot of fear going on in that space and everything along those lines. I know we've got the Ukraine-Russia show coming up in about 15 minutes, but Sasha, what's going on in the latest updates? I did hear that they were trying to use the weather as a tactic and everything like that, trying to, because it's definitely the cold period and y'all have some brutal winters there in Ukraine and Russia. So what's going on in the war and how is the weather impacting the war?
Well, the bad weather affects both armies, Ukrainians and Russian army. And in fact, Russian army doesn't stop its attacks at all. And but they're not really achieving anything for that. They're losing approximately up to 1,500 people a day, and they continue their strategy of meat attacks, and it doesn't bring them any joy at all. Normally, statistics shows that in a meat attack, out of 100 people, 98 are liquidating, and only 2 are alive. So with statistics like that, I really don't understand the strategy, Russian strategy, unless they don't have any other strategy. So in this case, they will keep doing what they are doing, and Ukrainians are very skillful to almost avoid any losses. They do lose people here and there, but on the battlefield, they almost avoid any losses because they're using drones, they're using the artillery and other means to disarm and eliminate Russian fighters. So in a view of what's happening with the Russian economy, I think that by 2026, at some point, they will have to stop fighting. They just won't be able to continue the fight.
That makes sense and everything. I know tomorrow is your investment show and everything like that, modern investment. But what is going on in the investment world? I hear some people are getting really still excited about NVIDIA and other things in that space. But what investments are you looking at, and what solid advice will you be giving people on tomorrow and everything like that? On your show that airs at 1 o'clock. But just what are some of the investments? I know a lot of people are excited about AI, and apparently we're trying to get involved in AI, meaning the U.S. even more, and the chip making and all in that space. But what are you excited about investment wise?
Well, very important report will be this one on Thursday by TSM. It's Taiwan Semiconductors, because that will really show the state of economy in chips, because Taiwan Semiconductor supplies many chip producing companies, including NVIDIA and AMD and Broadcom, many others. So that's important. Generally, I think that the market will continue to go higher, more or less until probably mid-February, probably even the end of February. But after that, there will be not a pretty picture. So if you have money in the market, make sure that by the end of February you will get out.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything. Rick, what are some of the other stories you're seeing in terms of Drudge and everything like that? And Dr. Sharif, anything that you want to add to the discussion as well?
There's always a bunch of Drudge has the big stories, and it's also got the small nonsense stories. Let's see, what do we got? The Pentagon. So Havana syndrome. People working at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba, a bunch of them all of a sudden fell sick with brain disorders, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And it was decided, but not definitively, that Havana was using some kind of ultrasonic sound wave projecting device that you couldn't hear it because the sound was so low, but it was scrambling people's brains. But it was never proven. But there are new reports that the Pentagon has developed a Havana syndrome weapon that you can shoot, through walls at people, and it will mess up their brains.
Wow.
You
So
know.
we got a new secret weapon that's out there. I'm sure there are other secret weapons as well. Speaking of secret weapons, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, what are folks' thoughts around this notion that Trump is forgetting a lot of things? Because apparently he was doing an interview recently where he forgot that he had made the pledge that folks would be getting these $2,000 checks. And he even asked, when did I say that? And all along those lines. So I know there was a lot of that conversation around memory loss around Biden and everything like that, but I'm not sure that he has the best memory either. So what is our take on this notion of him forgetting things and being caught
The
in
trouble
some of
with
these
Trump
forgiveness?
is that he's been so full of shit for so long. We have to say it again and again that you can't tell whether he's losing it or whether it's just more of his bullshitting. So
No, this is what he does. I mean, he sold people he sold people on the idea, and then of course when he get questioned about it, he's gonna play dumb. That's what he does. He says dumb stuff, and this wasn't a dumb thing. You could tell this wasn't a oops, oh maybe he forgot. No, this was, hey, I sold you a bunch of crap. Now I'm gonna act like I didn't sell it to you. So now guess what? You gave me all I needed before. Now why are we talking about it? I told you I was gonna release my taxes. When did I tell you I was gonna do that? Y'all don't need to see my taxes. Yeah, it's just the same play, and people fall for it every time. I think it's more important that you know how MAGA keeps talking about not being Nazi or not stop calling them Nazi and all this other stuff. But you heard about the new slogan the Labor Department is using, which is very similar to what the Nazis used.
No, what's that slogan? I missed that. I'm sorry.
You didn't see that?
One of us, all of yours. One of ours, all of yours. Which
Yep, there's that one. There's that one, but then don't forget.
Wait, we got to explain what that means. If you attack one of our ICE agents, the SS, if you attack a Nazi stormtrooper, the Nazis will kill 100 of your people in retribution. It's a promise they made. Also, the fascists in the Spanish Civil War, same deal. That it's not an eye for an eye; it's 100 eyes for an eye.
So you got that one, but then don't forget one homeland, one people, one heritage. That's the other slogan that they kind of pulled for, which was the Nazi version was one people, one realm, one leader. So when you yell at people, it's not about this, but then you post stuff that is about this. Again, it's all the same. It's all this. I don't know why we have to hide it or why we have to run from it. Trump the other day was talking about how civil rights treated white people wrong.
Yeah.
How much more do we need to talk? How much more do we need to see before we can be honest?
Didn't he say that the civil rights movement was discriminatory against white people?
Yes. Yes. How much more do we need to see or need to hear before? And this is why, Dr. Sharif, when you say that you're a fan of Trump and this and that, how can you overlook the anti-Muslim push that he does? The bigoted push towards Muslims. The man went on and still talks about how he saw Muslims championing and cheering 9/11 and Muslim this and Muslim that, which is what caused the hatred towards Muslim individuals in the first place.
Muslims did not cheer 9/11.
They didn't, but Trump pushed it.
American Muslims. I'm sure there were some countries.
No, it became a tragedy nationwide as well as globally. But the thing is, what Trump was doing and Trump continues to do is push these bigoted things, which harms individuals. And I don't know, again, I just don't get how much more we need to see before we can be honest about these things. And what becomes that red line? I mean, David Duke was the grand wizard of the Klan. Should we say he's a good dude because he has a good economic plan? That's what I'm talking about. what red line do we have to look at before we can be honest about things and say, okay, I don't have to be a supporter of Trump, but to, point out that, okay, I like this and this and this, but what we're into is, hey, either you like Trump or you don't. And if you like Trump, you like everything about Trump and his plans are great and you're going to support Trump no matter what. It shouldn't be that way. We should have red lines and say, okay, well, he says he's pushing white supremacist stuff again. That's a red line. We can't support this dude. We got to get him up out of there.
But so just really quickly, can a tiger ever change its stripes? If I can use that analogy and everything like that. I know even here we had that whole notion of the best of enemies, which is about Ann Atwater and C.P. Ellis, and apparently he changed his stripes to some degree, and some people even say that Strom Thurmond changed his stripes, and part of that may be because he got involved with a sister in a relationship and everything like that. So I guess the question that some people are asking is, can the tiger ever change its stripes, or is the tiger always going to have those stripes?
With regard to Trump, Trump could increase his approval by 10 percentage points, maybe 15 percentage points within a month if he just governed from the center. He's got no fixed political beliefs except that he's a dick and he governs to be a dick, to be for retribution. And he's been president now. He first became president in 2017. He's never changed. He never apologized for running newspaper ads calling for the execution of the Central Park Five, who were five black kids who were falsely accused of attacking and raping a woman in Central Park, even after they were exonerated. He never goes back on his shit. No, his stripes are tattooed on there 8 inches deep. It
looks that way and everything like that. Gary, to wind down, I see that we've got both Ivan and Dr. Jonathan in the space for the next show and everything like that. So just let you know that, Sasha. So we got just a few minutes to go in all along those lines. But do you want to give any wrap-up comments, Dr. Sharif or Rick? I got to get ready to bounce out and get to that show as well. But any
Dr. Sharif.
Okay, thank you. This is very interesting and productive discussions. And yes, I am practicing Muslim. I go for prayer, I read Quran, and how I see this real world, how Quran says, real world practicing Muslim and all of the things is not like that. So we have to be more human. We should not go for tagging, like you are Muslim, so you are bad, or you are Christian, you are bad, or you are Jewish, you are bad. I find every country, every religion, there have a lot of good people like Jatovi, like Rick, like Mark, like Nick, Kimberly. You are good, right? You are a symbol of good human. So that is the example of humanity. We should not go with these religious factors. Better we go as a community. We move as a human, and we help each other and we support each other. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Jatovi, and thank you all of the our podcast colleague, those who continuously help me to grow, to understand, and to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
See you guys later today, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.